Hello, my name is Yasmine, and I'm a graduate student studying biomechanics at Marshall University. And today I'm going to be discussing parts of a literature review that I wrote last term on the coefficient of friction while pitching a baseball. So I am referring to the coefficient of friction between the hand and the baseball itself. And briefly, why I chose this topic is because I was reading articles from around 2021 when the enforcement of the sticky substances started to occur. And I was really interested to see that some players reported ulnar collateral ligament injuries shortly afterwards. So I wanted to see if there was any literature that connected grip strength, coefficient of friction, and or ulnar collateral ligament injuries. So from here on out, I will be abbreviating coefficient of friction to COF and ulnar collateral ligament to UCL. And the formal purpose of my literature review was to explore how a decrease in the COF may impact a pitcher's performance and injury risk, and see if there's any implications for rehabilitation and sports science staff that work with these athletes on a daily basis. So, baseball pitchers use sticky substances to increase their grip on the ball, and that's because an increased coefficient of friction increases ball spin, ball velocity, and pitch accuracy, which are all big pitching advantages. And over time, substances have evolved from, more lately spider tack or in the beginning saliva. But really, the hand and the fingers play a really important role in the pitch, and this is because they are the last component of the kinetic chain before the ball is released. So I think it is worth looking into a little bit deeper. And so my hypothesis was that a decreased COF leads to increased grip strength due to compensation. So here is an outline of the topics I will be talking about today. We're going to start with lift force, then we're going to go to the third digit, impulse, and then I'm going to try to link the COF and the UCL and talk a little bit about research. So in aerodynamics, lift force is the component that is perpendicular to the flow of air and acts in the upwards direction. So if a pitcher were to maximize their lift force, this is going to make the ball trajectory more difficult to predict by the batter, which is considered a pitching advantage. And since increasing the COF increases ball spin, it could potentially affect lift force because one study was able to link the lift force to the effective spin parameter. So here is a little bit more detail on the spin parameter and the effective spin parameter in case you are curious to know the details. But overall, after analyzing 75 pitches, researchers were able to determine that the lift force was explained directly by the effective spin parameter. So let's say a pitcher wants to maximize their lift force. Knowing that increasing the COF increases ball spin, and now ball spin has been linked to lift force, then increasing COF may improve the control of lift force. So now I'm going to transition to talking about my next topic, which is about the role of the third digit. So right now it has been established that the third digit helps to control angular velocity, which is related to the ball release time. And this contributes to the accuracy of the overall pitch. In addition, one study was able to correlate a faster spin rate and a faster velocity to maximum force production of the third digit and the 3-point pinch test. So the 3-point pinch test is the one that's shown in the diagram, and it's just a pinch of the thumb, the index finger, and the third finger. And it can be argued that the third digit is going to play a big role in this 3-point pinch test. So I think that just further emphasizes the importance of this digit. So from this information, it is possible that pitchers may benefit from hand and finger exercises to optimize the maximal force production of the third digit. And just to relate this back to my hypothesis, if COF can be increased, this would improve grip, which may enhance the capabilities of the third digit during pitching. The next topic that enhances pitching performance is impulse. So researchers were able to correlate impulse to a faster spin rate and a faster ball velocity. and they emphasized that pitchers need to sustain a high force during the entire act of pitching for best results. So let's tie impulse back to friction. It was found that rosin provides consistent friction during the pitch. And if you have consistent friction, that should provide consistent grip, which could help impulse to remain high right through to the very end of the kinetic chain to the ball release point. So for this reason, increasing COF may increase impulse, which is another pitching advantage. So for my final topic, I'm going to try to link the COF to the UCL through the research that I have read. So it is well known and well established that the UCL experiences a very high degree of torque during a baseball pitch. And more recently, it was found that a strong three-point pinch stabilizes the medial elbow, which may protect the UCL. So if grip is going to stabilize the medial elbow, it may be worth going back to the role of the third digit and working on more grip exercises or increasing your COF. So that leads me back to my thought pattern that if you increase the COF and maybe the legal use of sticky substances, this may enable an increased grip strength and maybe protect the UCL. So that concludes the main part of my literature review, but I also thought it was important to touch on where the research is at in this really specific field. So some of the hurdles that are currently being experienced are just a high degree of variability, and two of the main problems are moisture levels and skin topography. So both of these things are really going to influence friction and potentially the COF. So it's not all hurdles, there's also research breakthroughs, and I wanted to share a slim EMG sensor prototype that I read about, where it's composed of conductive polymer nanosheet-based electrodes to measure EMG, and it's basically in the form of a skin patch. And so it's really slim and conformable, and measurements can be taken during the pitch, which really wasn't possible before. To summarize my presentation, COF increases grip on the baseball, and increasing COF by using sticky substances or maybe other methods is going to possibly help improve the control of lift force, the contribution of the third digit, increase or maintain impulse, and decrease the chance of a UCL injury. Since all of these studies are very preliminary in nature, I would like to see future studies investigate things like forearm muscles or UCL torque under different COF conditions. So lastly, I think understanding the role of friction can help optimize that pitching performance and potentially reduce injury incidence of the UCL, whether it's, exercises that can be prescribed, measurements that can be taken during the season, or maybe developing fatigue indicators. I think it's a really interesting area to explore. And even though literature doesn't necessarily translate directly to real life application, I think that it is worth taking a read, and perhaps other studies will have more for clinicians to look at in the future. Thank you to the LA Dodgers for accepting my video presentation as a submission. If anyone has questions about anything I discussed, I'd be happy to answer them. Please just send me an email, and I hope you have a great day.